Hi, everyone. Before we get started, I just want to say I have interviewed countless important people on this stage, and they have never drawn as full a hall as Tarini Mohan has. I just think the fact that there aren't enough chairs to go around already makes this a smash hit of a book launch and speaks to how many people actually love you.
Thank you.
So, I don't know how many people know how you wrote this book. You typed it and you learned to type with your left hand?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that process before we come to the book itself?
So, when I first realized it not working.
I feel like it is better with this? Yeah. Let's fix this. Hanji.
Yeah, so when I first realized my right hand wasn't working, I didn't understand that it was a lifelong thing, because how does something like that happen to me? It happens to others.
Correct.
So I was intent on doing therapy, rigorous therapy every day. I would do my therapy homework with my darling brother, who forced me to do it. But anyway, I didn't. After my handwriting I couldn't write with my left hand. Mm-hmm. So then, my brother and my father would offer to type my emails. Mm-hmm. And then, because when back when I could type, when I could use my right hand, like a fool, I never learned how to type with both hands. I would just type with one hand, one finger. Who does that? So, because I didn't learn back then how to type like a normal human being, when I only had the use of my left hand, and then I couldn't type at all because I didn't know how to type with my left hand. So then I Googled how to type fast with the non-dominant hand. I found various YouTube courses, and I took them, and I was preparing to write my applications for business school. Mm-hmm. So then I did the courses. I kept practicing until I became faster than my dad.
So you basically typed this whole book with your left hand?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal?
No.
What do you think you have done that is a big deal? Since you think nothing about you, everything is just routine, it's all normal, what's the big deal while we're all awestruck? What do you think is a big deal?
Please don't be awestruck. No, because I can assure you that Barkha, given how awesome you are, I can assure you that if what happened to me happened to you, you would be the same.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that vote of confidence. I'm not sure about that, you know. I really am not. But it brings me to an interesting point. When we were chatting, you said, when we were chatting, you said, I don't want to be anyone's inspiration. I don't want to be an inspiration for other people. I just want this story to be about me. Why do you not want to be an inspiration?
No.
It's not on yet, so
it's not that. Of course, I want to be a genuine inspiration, but I'm sorry to be so blunt, but that's not it. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but it's my pet peeve when people just look at me and say, "Oh, that's so inspiring."
Why is it your pet peeve?
Just because I'm in a wheelchair, my identity gets flattened into a motivation moment for other people's day.
I see that, but you can't I know you don't.
I know I didn't do myself any favors by publishing a book. But
So let's talk about you. Not you, the abstract inspiration for other people, but you, Tarini Mohan. As Parth said, this book is really a love story. It's a book about loss, it's a book about cataclysmic change, but it's also a book about the power of love to heal. And that love comes in many forms. How did you avoid being bitter, angry, sad, and depressed?
wow.
Because the book isn't any of those emotions.
Yeah. Well, I was debating reality, and in reality, of course there have been bitter moments, but not when you zoom out and look at the arc of the episode of that part of my life. The bitterness doesn't stand out. Like, there was definitely bitterness when I was scrolling Facebook or Instagram and comparing my life with my peers. Of course, I felt like, this is not fair. Why don't I have moments like that?
Like what?
For example, like back when I wasn't working, back when in the year that I didn't have a job, I couldn't work. I saw photos of one of my best friends who works at a museum. So with her work friends, admiring paintings, and just the joy of her work life. And I felt bitterness, that I felt joy for her, but I couldn't ignore the bitterness that festered inside me. That, and then the moments of friends partying and stuff.
And dancing.
Yeah. Like, why did this have to happen to me? But I must be honest, I didn't really dwell on those things. I don't know how come. I just didn't.
Good for you.
Oh, actually, I do know how come.
Okay.
It's thanks to my friends.
It's your friends?
My friend Pallavi is out here.
Where are you, Pallavi? Stand. Show us Pallavi. There she is.
See, she's been the best friend who's accompanied me throughout this journey, and from before and after until this day. She's friend all the way from San Francisco, leaving her 2 little kids.
Oh,
He's come all the way from San Francisco
Just for this
evening.
wonderful. I noticed you mentioned your friends but not your parents. So like every young daughter, you just take them for granted. हाँ वो तो है.
I'm flattered you said young.
I mean in relation to the rest, the three of us on stage.
My colleagues at J3, please note.
No, seriously. What, how have they been? Have they been cool? Have they been annoying? Have they been overprotective?
You're asking me in the public setting, so how to say it?
I think they'll allow you a moment of truth today and forgive you for it.
Yeah, you can say what you want.
Say what you want, but
No, seriously.
okay, but in all honesty, they've been like quiet heroes. Quiet heroes. But that doesn't take away from my mother's annoying moments.
What do you all fight about?
And I'm a daddy's girl, so those are mama's annoying moments.
I want to just bring both of you in briefly. She said that you've been quite heroes, but it doesn't take away from your particular annoying moments. So, Rasika, what do you guys argue over? Before we come to the big meta stuff of how you did this, how you coped, what do you all argue over?
About being in the moment and not being on the phone all the time.
So that's like every parent with their 30-something child or 20-something child or today even teenage child.
Except most 30-something children are not living at home.
She grew up with so many friends from all over the world. We may be sitting next to her, but she's talking to those people who are far away. And how about us who are sitting right there? So,
I mean, you do know that's every parent and their child.
yes, but I see it in my own home, which was never like that. So that's something.
That's a sister saying, huh?
I'll come to both of you in just a moment, but just to come back to you, there's a beautiful passage that Tarini writes about how when she was still in hospital, and I know some of her doctors are here, she looks out at the Qutub Minar, and every day that she would stand at that hospital window and look out at that Qutub Minar, even in that wordless moment, there was the power of revival, the power of healing. And it's often sort of quite unspoken, the things that calm us down, right? Like it's, if I'd asked you of all the things that gave you strength, you may not have thought, oh, it was that looking out of the window and looking at the Qutub Minar. Talk about, do you have a memory of the Qutub Minar?
Yeah, somehow I never thought, I really didn't think twice about the Qutub Minar being all this before you brought it up. Before we met.
I read it and it seemed like that to me, the way you described it.
Yeah, I was just speaking of my little experience. But when I look back, I see the theme of the power of continuity and there's just a theme of continuity that the Qutub Minar is stood through time, is stood strong through time.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you think you are different today? Because another line that you have, you say that what happened to you, it changed your body, but you weren't going to let it change you. But life changes us. None of us remain the same. Not essentially, I mean, our essence may be the same, but other things change about us. Are you different after the accident compared to how you were before?
Yeah, so this is a question I've been asked many times. And to be honest, it's quite a hard one to answer because, of course, there have been changes since I was 23 when this happened, and now I'm 38. And people evolve. So I don't know whether something is because of my accident or because of time.
Yeah, sure.
See, but I believe that the essence of me is the same. And I think my bosses, my former bosses, and my parents and my friends all say I'm the same.
And how would you describe yourself?
Like extroverted.
Mm-hmm.
Boy mad.
Boy.
What do you mean by crazy?
Boy crazy.
Boy crazy.
Boy crazy.
Boy crazy, says the dad. You want to tell us about the new arts of flirting?
I don't flirt.
Why not?
Because I'm 38 and there are very few men left to flirt.
But when you were not 38 and you had to relearn the instinct for flirting, does it come back like cycling or do you have to acquire a new language?
It's cycling.
It's like cycling? you also lost a relationship.
Yeah.
A relationship ended, not lost a relationship. Relationship ended as many relationships in our lives do. And if you hadn't had this accident, you may not have seen the end of a romantic relationship in the context of the accident. But given that the accident happened, it may have become difficult to separate the two. How did you process that?
Well, we broke up not because my partner stayed with me for 2 years after my accident, and I was the one who broke up with him, not vice versa. Because I felt like a giant pressure to get to fully recover beyond what was possible, to get back to square one, and every day square one felt harder to reach. And when I broke up with him, Nikhil, he cried, but we both believe it was the wise decision. And we're both really good friends. I still love him, and he still loves me. But the love is still there, but the form of the love has changed. It transformed. It's true.
Do you sometimes feel that was, you were being too hard on yourself in taking that decision?
No.
No.
It just felt like, naturally, it just felt like the right thing to do. I think Pallavi told me many times, did I consult her? I don't know. I don't think I consulted anyone. I just followed my heart.
Okay. That is a kind of lovely chronicle of love changing form, not the end of love. And I think that's very important to stress. If I may get your dad in now. This accident happens and you're supposed to leave to teach at Yale at the time. And of course, the Life Quake doesn't just happen to Tarini. The Life Quake also happens to Rakesh and Rasika. It turns your world upside down. What did you have to unlearn and learn about being a parent?
That I don't know, because I don't know if I ever learned to be a parent. So actually, I already started teaching at Yale. Yeah. It was my first semester, 2010 fall, when exactly half through the term this happened. And, of course, you can imagine the shock of that phone call at around midnight on September 10. September 8. 10? 8? 8.
Yeah, 8.
8. And so, but the
8th October.
Yeah.
8th October.
8th of October. Sorry, I forgot. So, of course. Okay. So, the reaction, of course, was total shock. But both Rasika and I immediately got down that night to what we had to do. So I got down on the logistics, flying off and contacting people, etc., etc. She just started packing the apartment. We've only been there for 6 weeks. I'm saying this because that's something all through. That is something I can't explain to myself even. Why wasn't I totally down? It never was, actually. And because we were just engaged and do what you have to do. And of course, you can see from our friends here that all the support we received through our lives from everyone here. So, yeah, it's difficult to say. I don't think I changed much as a parent. We always, I say aloud, but she always did what she wanted to do. And we never objected. That never changed.
She says in her book, like good liberal parents, when she was in New York, she left Morgan Stanley. She wanted to live this life, in Kampala and Uganda, where the accident happens. And so she sort of presents you as people who wouldn't stop her from doing what she wanted to. But and it's natural, when the accident happens, do you doubt your own? Did you say, oh my God, I wish we had stopped her from going to Uganda?
No.
Something. It's not rational, but these are things that people wrestle with.
We didn't feel that at all, I have to say. Of course, we regretted that she went there, this happened, but we didn't feel that we had done anything wrong in trying to stop her. She wouldn't have stopped anyway. But we didn't even try. But I think one thing that has changed is mainly for safety reasons.
Yeah.
We do tell her not to do things now. That's the only thing that,
Yeah.
but she still gets angry. But,
Yeah. I think she writes in particular about you, Rasika, accompanying her. You had to, you had to upend your life as a dancer, go to Yale, make that your life. So we also don't actually talk about how lives change for families, right? But also I think she writes about how it felt like somewhat of a Cinderella moment to have your mother, I'm paraphrasing here, but to have your mother with you in moments when you don't want your mother with you, right? So I'm just wondering how you all navigated that and what was challenging for you, if at all.
Yeah, it was very challenging suddenly to go away from my comfort zone in Delhi, where at that time I was performing a lot, and to be suddenly in a different place where it's an academic, it's an institution, Yale, it has such a wonderful name. And what am I supposed to do here? Rakesh is teaching, Tarini is going to business school. I don't know anyone here, and I have to start afresh here. But I must say, after a while, I did start having a wonderful life because I started auditing, they call it there, many different courses and classes. So both of them would go off, she in her wheelchair and Rakesh would walk off. And I would also go to class and be amongst lovely young students, giving me so much energy. I attended different kind of classes, art history. I learned Tai Chi. I became a member of the Javanese gamelan orchestra. I sang in the Yale Divinity School choir, different parts of the church. And I did things which I would never have done in my life. And so for that, I thank Tarini. I would never have got that chance.
You're big time.
What do you say?
She owes me big time.
I owe her big
She
time.
owes you big time.
I do.
Also, I want to add that another way in which I navigated having my mother always around
Yeah.
was, see, for example, an episode is coming to mind when my friends came over to my apartment building for a barbecue in my back on a patio. And remember, you happily joined in.
Yes.
So there's a photo of me with like around 20 friends, and my mom's head is peeking out.
Speaking there.
Yeah, but the barbecue was super fun, and I have really fun memories. I've learned now to choose friends who wouldn't mind who like my parents, and who don't mind hanging out with them.
So you have to now find friends who also like your parents. थोड़ा मुश्किल हो गया ये.
It's not that hard.
I'm joking,
It
obviously.
hasn't been that hard.
I'm only joking. So, if your daughter doesn't want to be an inspiration for anybody, she defies that label, that being put in a box with a ribbon on it. But people would also look at both of you and say, amazing, where did you find the strength? How did you cope? How did you not become bitter? How did you not become despondent? So if I were to ask both of you that.
So I'll just tell you that after a while, lots of parents would come to me and they had daughters and sons sometimes who were also injured, and they would come and ask me, and I was wondering how did I become a person to give them advice. But it's very difficult to say because each person's life is different and each case is different, It's very different.
Actually, one of the key things which has kept us going, you've seen her today. That her lively sense of humor
Yeah.
and, just positive outlook.
Yeah.
So how could we not have a positive outlook? Okay. second, in my own case, I was lucky all through that I was doing something. Teaching at Yale, going to the IMF, heading a government big committee, etc., etc. But I did not take up any position of responsibility, which I did get some offers. And I think I can say this now, that as I was offered something at the RBI in 2016.
Something?
And I didn't take it up, right? So of course, Tarini being Tarini, on November 8th, or was it 9, 2016, says we went back.
Demonetization.
We were back and we were in New Haven at Yale. She says, when demonetization took place, she says, Papa, now you thank me. So my point is, with this,
she spared you some brickbats, potential brickbats.
So with this kind of person around, how could you not? How could you have any attitude which said, "Oh, something bad has happened"? Yeah. I'm not minimizing at all. Obviously, I always say we had a split-second major disaster and misfortune, but everything after that has been better than you could have expected. So how could you be despondent?
See, I'll just say that in any situation, we as human beings, we can only do our very best. The rest is actually not in our hands. And many times we do face that situation when it is beyond us and there is nothing more that we can do about this particular thing. And so I believed that when you encounter a situation like that, you just say a prayer and you leave it there. And both of us noticed that when we left it, and in that leaving, an amazing thing would happen, and that is someone would come along and solve the most difficult problems for us just like that, better than we could ever have done that. And these people would be not people really known to us. They would be people who are acquaintances, maybe someone you meet in the gym because every day you go there at a certain time, or someone with whom you had a pleasant word in the elevator. These people became crucial in our lives for what they did for us and how they helped us. I call these people our farishtas. They are our angels. Many of them keep in touch. Some of them have disappeared, and we can never thank them enough for what they did for us.
Before there's so many people here, and I'm sure so many people have stories to share, questions to ask, but I want to ask you something. I know you resist this idea of being a template, an inspiration, an abstraction, or a sort of context for a conversation around accessible spaces, rights for the specially abled. But I will share here with you that I met Tarini a couple of days ago, and she wrote me an email and said, "Is your office accessible?" And I said, "Yeah, there's a lift and I'm on the second floor." It did not even occur to me that to get to that lift, there were actually 2 steps before that, and I had completely forgotten that the entrance to the building had 2 steps. So at that time, we had to sort of organize a kind of wooden plank, and your wheelchair came over it. But it was really instructive to me that as a pretty aware journalist who has reported on these issues, it was invisible to me that there were those steps that you would have to enter via before you reach the lift.
I'm glad you learned better now.
This is why we all have to learn from you. Now, my question is that you may resist this, being a teachable moment. You don't want Tarini Mohan to be a teachable moment. But there must be things that you have discovered that you never noticed before in terms of access, inclusion, things of, that you can't pick up a book and now read it. You need Kindle, technology. Justice Chandrachud was talking about how even technology is not always equally accessible. So I do want to ask you about that. I know you don't like the abstract question, but for yourself, what have been the tough things to navigate?
Yeah, so of course I noticed a huge change to be, when I think about it, I remember when I lived in New York, I would get, it's a little embarrassing to say now, but I would get frustrated when a wheelchair user would board the bus because they would slow down the processes. But the culture is so accepting there. It's just law, and that's just how things are done. That nobody even thinks that, oh, a wheelchair person is not it's going to be slowness. I mean, we're going to be inconvenienced.
There's just something I want to say to Justice Chandrachud and a couple of other justices here. How law change can change culture. This is what she's describing.
Yeah. But go on.
Yeah. So I used to get frustrated when wheelchair users used to board the bus. I used to get so frustrated that I remember, Pallavi, you might remember, I would actually get off the bus, I would deboard the bus and walk home instead. And now, when I went back to New York, I was happily riding those buses. I felt such a sense of freedom. I felt it's amazing. The difference in freedom and mobility is striking. It's a huge contrast.
Yeah. Rakesh, if you wanted to add to your point about law being, culture doesn't change on its own. The law has to be an instrument for change.
No, I think Justice Chandrachud
encapsulated that.
Encapsulated that very, very, very successfully. The only thing I would add is that we sort of say, you make a law, it doesn't change anything. Okay. So, to my mind, as a non-lawyer, that if you have to do something and again, and I said, look, you have to do it. That means enforcement. One simple example, seatbelts.
Yeah.
Right? That it used to be the case, people used to really resist seatbelts. Some people still do, quite a few people still do. But it has changed habits. That people now just automatically seatbelts. And in my own case, I do not feel comfortable now sitting in a car without a seatbelt. Sometimes when a car comes to pick me up and the back seat doesn't have a seatbelt, I said, I'm not going. I'm just saying, there's just a simplest example actually. And so I think rules, regulations, laws, if done right, correctly, not wrongly of course, they do change people's habits and it becomes the norm.
Okay, now I'm going to invite Tarini's friend Sahil Vasudeva to say a few words. Sahil is an accomplished jazz pianist and is one of Tarini's oldest friends, someone who's known her since they were both 7.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not usually nervous on the mic, but owing to Tarini's dadagiri and pressure, I haven't slept. And she was like, I hope you've written your speech. And owing my last minute nature, I did on the way here, but I still penned it down. So this dadagiri that Tarini has been doing over me has been going on for 30 years. Since we first met in class 3. And yes, I've successfully revealed her age and mine too in the process. But our bond has always been the love for cheap jokes or cheapu jokes or PJs as Tarini likes to call them. But I beg to differ. But that has been the glue of our friendship. Now, owing to her prowess as a Bharatanatyam dancer, her last name and a dance form of Kerala, I very creatively devised a name for her, which is Mohini Attam. And she's proudly adopted it today and can be fondly called Attam. To continue the South Indian joke, she named me Vasudevan. A lot of school time was spent in her saying Mohini Attam. And I would say, Vasudevan, Vasumati to each other. So this was the core of our interaction. Mohini Attam, Vasudevan. And of course, talking about her countless crushes, which I'm not going to get to because we're going to be spending like an entire other day. And you can see in the book as well, it takes Tarini, like literally, like you can blink at her and she'll, have a little crush on you. Yeah. But I still remember a day in class 9 when one of her essays was actually read out in class as a demonstration about how to write. The vocabulary, the grammar, the maturity was way ahead of anyone in class. So it's no surprise that she's actually a published author today. And let's just accept she's always been a nerd. And even though she left school in class 11 to study at United World College, and we hadn't met in years, we managed to hang out and reconnect in our internship days in New York, where she actually very graciously and kind-heartedly offered me her kitchen to sleep in when I was looking for an apartment. So for 3 or 4 days, I slept in her kitchen while her flatmate slept in the living room. Maharani Sahib obviously had her room, it was her house. But those memories, sealed an eternal bond of friendship. I remember all the partying, all the mischief, and then the lectures that I would receive about, why I need to behave myself and that, we're growing older and things like that. But even after Tarini woke up from her coma, her insatiable appetite for PJs stayed exactly the same. In fact, when I would sort of tell her these jokes while she was in the coma, I was pretty sure that she was still listening. And when she woke up, she asked me the most minute details of like jokes from 4th grade. And at that point, I was reassured that the core of her nature was unaltered. And given the gravity of what had happened in her life, she still managed to take time and enjoy that moment of a PJ. But somehow that sense of humor confirmed to me that she would recover. Now, I'd been given strict instructions by Tarini over the past 3 weeks that please crack some jokes and make this lighthearted and stuff. But although she never told me directly, but she had made it really certain from the start that she didn't want any sympathy or pity to creep into our friendship. And I used to tell Tarini that I feel like, she's looking into my soul when she's talking to me after the accident, because I think she developed a way to look through human superficiality and sort of cut through the fluff, which is really obvious in, how everyone has stated about her bluntness and her honesty with you. But I think she has developed more of a spiritual sort of existence now, because beyond the unfathomable challenge of her actual day-to-day life and almost being reborn in a sense, I found her ability to look at this entire experience like philosophically and beyond herself, and gone deep into what it really is to be human, and boldly state that in her inner conversations and thoughts about it in the book is really admirable. I think that honesty was the most special and emotional part of reading the book for me. And I really don't know how she's managed what she's managed. There must be some sort of superhuman capabilities for sure. But she articulates brilliantly the complexity of the human brain and all the sums and parts of our memories, conditioning, perception, understanding of ourselves and how that identity is perceived, and what really goes into this concept of making us human. And she and the Mohan family have really redefined what it means to be as a family. So I think Uncle, Auntie, Rashesh, huge congratulations to you as well. And thank you for showing us the path, because it's a really super proud moment today. At the end of the day, Tarini tells us that, that we all desire love, that we all desire freedom, and we all desire to be accepted. But most importantly, I think Life Quake reaffirms the faith in the source of our greatest strength as humans, which is hope. If we look at where the world is today, with all the crap that is going on, all the wars that are happening, Tarini's book screams to us that hope is all that we can hold on to for a better future. That it is a palpable force, that it can quite literally take us from the darkness to the light, and that we must not give up on it for humanity, for ourselves, our evolution, and change. Thanks, Mohini Attam, for invigorating this force and energy in us. A lot of people say that, oh, Tarini's story is a miracle of science. But I truly believe that it is not science. It is all Tarini's indomitable spirit. So big, huge, massive congratulations to Tarini on Life Quake. In stores now, so better go grab your book now and give like 20, 30 copies to people.
And reviews.
And please get your autographs now because, and if you're getting a treat from Tarini, take it because otherwise beyond this, you're never getting one. So 1 million children cheers to Life Quake and Attam.
Thank you.
And they just 3 lines from a special friend of hers, Himali, who couldn't be here, but was one of the main forces in galvanizing the support from Tarini earlier. I'll just read out a few lines that she's written. Spending those days in the hospital with Tarini and then watching her flourish into wakefulness was a traumatic and healing experience both. I would read poems, do Reiki, much to her latter dismay, bake cakes, tell her and the world and all our friends' news. I felt she was deeply alive and listening to it all. We made sure to not only bring beauty and love into that room. This book is Tarini caring for everyone back and a testament to that deep listening. Cheers, Tarini.
Thank you, Sahil.